Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Eva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanya Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute Om Aim Brim Glim Chamundai Viche Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanumanji Maharaj Ki Jai. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 9th of May 2026. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Paramatma, Bhagavan, residing in the heart of every single being. We will continue today to further examine the quality of Shamaha, which is one of the sixfold inner wealth. And that is a very powerful and liberating quality. Before I do that, there are just a couple of things that I just wanted to clarify, because from last several years we have been talking about dhyan and meditation, and one of the things you may have heard me say, this is based really more on the Swaminarayan tradition, the Shikshapatri language, about dhyan and meditation on the form of Bhagavan or Bhagavan ke avatar, and not on gurus or teachers or parents or all these other things. So isme kya, how to understand this a little bit better. I just want to make a few comments about that because that can get very confusing. I'll tell you why it's confusing. You have, for example, we have Ramakrishna Paramans, right? Or we have great saints today, present today. We have Shirdi ke Sai Baba. We have so many people, so many saints, Sant Parampara. There are temples of them. मंदिर है, उनके मंत्र भी है. People worship them as Paramatma. Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So how do we reconcile all this together, right? And it can get very confusing, obviously. So in simple language, I just want to spend a few minutes on this and see if I can clarify it a little bit further. Is it true that Bhagavan exists in everyone? Yes. Is it true that that Param Tattva, Brahma Tattva, Bhagavat Tattva is everyone? There's a difference between these two statements. In Advaita Vedanta, everything is only one. Maya, Prakriti, objects, whatever the differentiation we see, it's only Akshara Brahma, the imperishable absolute, manifesting through its own power as manifesting as a projection as the many. There's only one that is projecting as the many. So in Advaita Vedanta, the Advaitic viewpoint, perspective, is the one is reflecting itself through its own power as the many. Right? This is Advaita Vedanta. Like if you have 100 pots of water, the sun is shining, you see 100 different suns in the pots of water. Are there really 100 different suns, or is there only one sun? It's like that. So when realization happens, there's only one, not two. It is the realization that the reflected sun realizes I am that sun, not this reflected sun. Or this reflected sun is because of that sun. This is Advaita Vedanta. This should be understood first about this question about gurus and who's dhyan to do and all that kind of stuff. Now, in the other systems of Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita, Dvaitadvaita, other acharyas that have come, they have said that no, Bhagavan, Bhagavat Tattva, Paramatma is independent entity and is present in all the souls, Jeev. Jeev are infinite in number, Maya is also real. And they are underneath Maya. It is not that the Paramatma is reflecting as the Jivatma in the other systems of Vedanta, Vishishtadvait, Dvaitadvait, Achinta Bheda Bhed, all of them. Vachanamrut mein jo panch bhed hai. I hope this is clear, because this can get very confusing, and this causes a lot of, it causes just a lot of misunderstanding also. Because if in Advaita Vedanta, then you wind up saying that kya Paramatma ki kiski bhakti karni? Bhakti goes away. Because bhakti is based on duality. If Sachin is saying, I'm going to worship Devi, I'm going to worship Shiva, I'm going to worship a guru, I'm going to worship Krishna, worship anybody, doesn't matter. There's duality there. That is upasana. So most of the things that Sachin here as a seva been presenting is more on the more dualistic side, more on the qualified non-dualism side, not so much on the Advaita side. Advaita ka bhi concepts lete hai hum yahan, but we're not focusing merely on Advaita Vedanta as many traditions would. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not rejecting any of it. But this is just based on my own study over the years and so many gurus, teachers, because this can get very, very difficult to understand and confusing. Because there are temples, like if you go to Ramakrishna Mission, there's, in the central figure is Ramakrishna Paramahansa. That's the Ishta Devata. Even though he worshipped Devi Kalika, there might be some devotees worshipping Devi Kalika. Most of the devotees worship Ramakrishna Paramahansa. In the Swaminarayan tradition, Sajanand Swami Maharaj worshipped Sri Krishna. We know that, that's a fact. Right? So it's a lot of history, but then he himself is considered to be a manifestation as an avatar or as an avatari, and all those things are there. But some people say, no, that's not true. He's just a saint. You made him into a god. Stuff like that, right? People say that for Ramakrishna Paramahansa. People say that for Sai Baba. People say that for whoever, even for Jesus. They say he's a saint. He's a Jewish rabbi. You made him into a god. These are a lot of controversies about these things. बहुत controversy है इसमें. Controversy में पढ़ना नहीं, but be careful about who you're attached to in what way. That was my only point. I'm mentioning this here because this is very, very tricky. I'll give you a simple example about parents. My father of this body passed away, as you know, some years back. Mother is there in India. This body is here. So, but when the engulfment is there in a form, that form is in our mind. It could be any form, right? And then there is entanglement in the form. So what all forms of Vedanta teach go beyond all those forms. But the Bhakti Sampradayas, they will say the form of God is real. So when we say these 5 points we've been saying, Stotra, Mantra, Shastra, Mandir and Guru Parampara, wo satya hai. Even though the bodies of the gurus, they are part of Prakriti, but the teaching inside is not part of Maya, it is beyond Maya. So the attachment inside is towards Ishta, is towards that tattva that is always beyond Maya. As per Shikshapatri. Now, as per Shikshapatri, mein aisi agnya hai that do not get meditatively absorbed in anybody who was at one point in Maya, even though they were out of Maya. Like, for example, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Was he born as an incarnation? Many people believe that way. Some people believe that, no, he became a Siddha, he did all this sadhana, and he became a Siddha. Aapki manyata, your own anubhav, it's like, I'm not telling anybody anything. Aapko jo karna hai, wo karo. But this is the way it goes, right? Some people worship their parents, actually. They love their parents so much. Mandir mein rakhte, they may keep other deities and all that, but they are lost in their parents. They consider their parents as Paramatma. Okay. I mean, you can do anything you want, obviously, but is that worth doing that way, to that extent? You have to see this. The concept in Shikshapatri is that when there is an imperfected being, parents are not perfect, obviously. They have their own entanglements in whatever it is. So are they worthy of object of meditation? Or gurus, or teachers, friends, anybody, right? Somebody who is very knowledgeable and very awakened, maybe even in the Brahmic state, Brahmaveta. Is that person worthy of meditating on that person? Interesting. Even Sri Krishna, we say Sri Krishna, some people say, well, Krishna is a devotee of Shiva. Krishna is a king only. He did Ashtanga Yoga. Why are you meditating on him? People say this also. There's controversy throughout in this. Severe controversy, not just moderate level. Massive controversy. I've stayed away from that because there's no point in getting into all those controversies. But I think psychologically, one thing we can say, that if the attachment is towards beings, people, places that are temporary, then that is a problem. And see, Advaita Vedanta even knocks out all the temples and Shastras and everything. Eventually it just knocks it all out. It says this is all part of Maya. Even Krishna and Ram and their bodies and their charitra and all these things is all part of Maya. That's what they would potentially say, something like this. Some don't say that, some do say that. So it is a fascinating question. Intellectually, it's a lot of debate, a lot of philosophy is behind it. For our purposes, Sachin will give you I'll give you my recommendation. Aapki jaisi ichha, aap dhyan karo is par, and you think about it and see. So my recommendation is just what the Shikshapatri is teaching, that meditation should be on Bhagavan Krishna or his incarnations. Right? That much is there. And then that same Paramatma is in the enlightened being. So that is also Murti, the enlightened being who even was imperfect or maybe born perfect, is holding God. In Gujarati we say, Rome Romba Akhanda Dharak, Akhanda Dharva Bhagavan ne. Continuously you're holding God 24 hours a day. So wo Bhagavan ki Murti hai. It's not that you're meditating on the form of that person, but you're recognizing the presence of the divine in that, manifested in that person. So this is the difference between seeing Paramatma, Bhagavan in enlightened saints versus considering enlightened saints as Paramatma. Thoda farak hai isme. I hope this is clear, and you can go into it further. It's a matter of anubhav. And actually from even from a bhakti point of view or Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta point of view, as our devotion increases, all of these distinctions go away. Bhagavan Krishna we see in the Murti Krishna ka form hai, Gita ji Krishna ka form hai, etc. Radha ji Krishna ka form. But eventually as devotion increases, all beings are seen. You can see Krishna in them, or you just see Krishna only. And you see Krishna in yourself also. So as the devotion and sthiti increases, all of these questions disappear. Wo bhi satya baat. That is also written in Shikshapatri, Shlok 111. I'll read it to you in Gujarati and I'll translate it for you. Ane eje Radhadik Bhakta, teje te kyarek to te Sri Krishna Bhagwan ne padkhe hoy. Ane kyarek to ati snehe karine Sri Krishna Bhagwan na angne vishay rahe che. I'll translate it for you. Just hold on. Tere to te Sri Krishna Bhagwan ekalaj hoy em janva. This is a combination of bhakti and Advaita Vedanta, this shlok. Shikshapatri Shlok 111. Maharaj kya kehte hai, isme sometimes Radhika ji is next to Krishna, like in the temples, we have Radha Krishna ki jo murti hai. But Radha ji, other devotees also, they're next to Krishna. They're standing next to darshan karte. But when love increases intensely, ati sneha, then the bhakta gets merged inside Krishna. And Maharaj, in that time, he says that Krishna should be said to be only one. So that is Advaita Bhav. So even though it is Advaita Bhav, it doesn't mean that the bhakta has become Bhagwan, but you cannot tell the difference at that point. You see, so this is Shikshapatri Shlok 111. You can Google it if you want, and there's commentaries on that and all that. Fascinating. So what is the real answer to all of this dilemma? It's not a dilemma. Sthiti mein jao, prem mein jao. Start with the incarnations. If you believe Ramakrishna Paramahans or Sahajanand Swami Maharaj or Swaminarayan Bhagwan or others, Shankaracharya ji, others are incarnations, तो उनका भी ध्यान लोग करते हैं. Jesus का ध्यान करते हैं, right? They may not meditate on the form, but they have a cross and they worship Jesus, the Christians. Jaisi Shraddha, that is true also. But the way this is written in Shikshapatri, that is written based on the Bhagavatam. That in the Bhagavatam there are 10 major incarnations, 24 other incarnations are shown. Well, how do you know? Who determines who's an incarnation? I know I'm going a little on a different subject here today, but I wanted to cover this. How does anybody determine who is an incarnation? 1,000 people say that somebody is something so great, let's make him into an incarnation. Is that how it happens? Because large numbers of people are impressed by somebody or some chamatkar, some miracles or this or that, and then now they decide he's an incarnation or she's an incarnation. How do you know if somebody's incarnation? Who decides that thing? Who has the authority to decide that? And then the other question is, why should we accept somebody else's interpretation on that? You see these problems here? These are very tricky and difficult questions. So this is why one has to go into the scriptures in a little bit different way. Like Bhagavatam talks about all these incarnations. But did Ved Vyas Ji hallucinate all that thing? Some hallucination is going on in his mind. He just made it all up. See, people believe these kinds of things also. So look, without getting into all that, the best way to understand this is to go through their life and their teaching. And even all the incarnations that are believed to be incarnations of God, they have done sadhana. They have worshipped somebody. Bhagwan Ram worshipped Shiv in his entire life. Even though he never even said he was Bhagavan. He never said it actually. I mean, he said it in some particular ways. He kind of indirectly may have said it, but not directly. He said, I'm just a human being trying to live my life as best as I can. He lived as a human being. You see, so Bhagwan Krishna in the Gita says he's Paramatma, but he has Guru, Ashtang Yoga, Sandipani Rishi. Isn't it so? He also worshipped Shiva. He also worshipped the Chaturbhuj Narayan Swarup. There's so much upasana, they all did this. People don't know all that. Ramakrishna Paramahansa worshipped Devi Kalika. Everybody's worshipping somebody. Everybody, A to Z. Shankaracharya ji ne par kitni upasana ki hai. Ramanujacharya, Lakshmi Narayan Bhagwan ki upasana ki hai. Everybody's worshipping somebody. How do you know who's incarnation, who's not incarnation? Jesus is saying, I and the Father are one, which is my Father in heaven. So he's a devotee, and then there's a oneness also. You see this? It's not easy to figure. So the only way to go about this, in my opinion, this is just Sachin's only humble opinion. You know, there's thousands of perspectives. Stay focused on Gita. Bhagwan Krishna ka jo swarup hai, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagwan is one. Whichever forms the Panchdev, Bhagwan Vishnu, Bhagwan Narayan is Bhagwan Vishnu. Then we have Shankar Bhagwan, Devi, Ganesh Ji and Surya. These are called Panchdev. Inke hi sab sampradaya hai. Any one of them is alright as Ishta, or any form of them is fine. Gurus are many. Be careful. You don't know where they are, what their background is, what kind of vasanas they might still have. Nobody knows all that thing. You know, just based on public images and videos and groups of people following, that doesn't make anybody guru. So be very, very, very cautious. There's an incident that is very famous incident. I don't remember the actual the historical detail, but some guru is very, very famous, very well known. This is some couple of 100 years back. Many disciples are attached to him, but externally very knowledgeable, very beautiful, Vadgyani, knows scriptures, has some siddhis also, all that, but has lot of vasanas, asad vasana. Unka jo sharir chut gaya, the jivatma that was there in that guru, it went into some lower realm, jisko hum narkalok kehte hain. And those people who were attached to that being, they were attached with devotion, bhakti, so many things. But when they left their bodies, they wound up over there. You said, how did this happen? Because whoever you're attached to, that is where you will go. That's a fact. Ante yamati sagati. See, bahut dhyan rakhna hai. Kiske saath bandhan rakhna hai. Ishta devata should be one of these five. भगवान नारायण और भगवान विष्णु के और उनके अवतार, उनका स्वरूप नारायण तत्व, शिव तत्व और उनके अवतार, देवी तत्व और उनके अवतार, गणेश तत्व, गणेश जी के भी बहुत फॉर्म है, और भगवान सूर्य नारायण. इसको पंचदेव कहते हैं. That's absolutely fine. Otherwise there is massive danger, potential danger, just running after somebody because they speak very well, because they may appear very divine, they may have long beards and all these kinds of things, and people are running after them because of their images, whatever. You see all this kind of stuff going on. You don't know what is happening inside that person, what they're doing in their private life. You don't know anything about that. And why should we even bother with that thing? So be very, very careful about bondage. It's one thing to be bound, into this material world. That's going to drown the person anyway. Obviously, getting bound with people of this sansar, places of this sansar, objects of this world, we get bound there, that will definitely cause birth upon birth and bondage upon bondage. But even quote gurus, so there are more gurus than disciples in this world, it seems like. Everybody wants to be somebody's guru. Think about that. And this parampara that has been set up in the Sanatana Dharma, it hasn't been set up like that actually. It's become that way, in the wrong way. Somebody sitting up here, somebody sitting down here. That is absolutely against the teachings of the Upanishad. Nobody should be sitting up here, somebody sitting down here. Sit at the same level. J. Krishnamurti blew that thing away. Thank God he did that. He's the only one who blew this thing out. And it has to be blown out because it is not the real Guru Shishya Sambandha. Upanishad doesn't mean that you're worshipping the Guru, somebody sitting on some big asan. Yeah, asan bisan dekho phek dena sab garbage mein. This has caused a lot of damage, problems, conflicts, lawsuits, harm to thousands and thousands of people. I don't want to go into the details. That is not that kind of the desire for position and desire to teach, desire to overrun others and all that, or desire to be in that position. This nonsense has come into the Sanatana Dharma. So much of it for God knows how many years. It is totally against the teachings of the Upanishads. Totally. 100%. Somebody sitting up on an asan and somebody sitting below is against the teachings of the Upanishads. Upanishad means to sit at the near. Upa means to go near, and to sit at the feet. It doesn't sit, meaning with humility, to go to that person. Tat viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena seva. The Gita is teaching. Nowhere it says somebody should be sitting up here, somebody should be sitting down here. Not in a single place. And if that's going on, the people want that. They want to dominate others' position. Watch out for this nonsense. And this is dangerous. It is dangerous because people are blind. That's the reason why. They just will follow anything. They don't want to do their own study. They don't want to do their own sadhana. Just follow anybody. Respect everybody. Watch out. Be very, very, very careful. You don't know what is in somebody's personal life. You don't know that. How can you know? How can anybody know that? You see, so बहुत ध्यान रखना कहाँ बंधन होता है भगवान के चरणों में. The mantras that are come in Sanatana Dharma, fantastic. The incarnations listed in the Bhagavatam, fantastic. This is Sachin's opinion. Again, there's controversy about that too. But be very cautious. It's possible. You could have enlightened being, born perfect. You could have recognized from inside. You can feel it from inside. Then you can worship God that way, that Bhagavan is present. Wo bhi hai. This is called Guru Mukhi Sampradaya. The real saints, real jo sant hai na, they are not aware that they are anybody's Guru. Unko awareness bhi nahi hai. If that awareness, if that feeling comes, I am somebody's Guru, even one person, 10, that is not Guru. That is Adhyatmik Guru, wo nahi hai. That is, they may have a lot of knowledge and wisdom even, they may do all kinds of things, but the feeling that I am there teaching somebody else, I am there and you are there, that, that feeling, that vritti, if that vritti is there, that is not a Satguru. It's very interesting. Again, be very careful about all this stuff, right? I'm just mentioning this because this has caused lot of lawsuits, damaged, people being killed over these different positions, wanting to be in a position. There are incidences where Shishya has killed their guru for the position. Can you imagine this? Vichar to kijiye. The Upanishadic rishis would say, what the heck is going on here? Ahankar ka sab problem hai. I'm mentioning it here simply because dhyan rakhna. Respect everybody. Don't get stuck with anybody's form except Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Krishna. These are incarnations. Devi, Shivji, that's fine. These are, Satya Sanatan has come and it's time tested for thousands of years. Perfectly okay. Be very cautious. Be very cautious. Right? So having said this, I just wanted to mention this today. I hope it doesn't offend anybody. I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything like that. Jiski jaisi shraddha, that's fine. बहुत सजाग रहना इसमें. Be very, very careful. And particularly people wearing this orange saffron clothes and all that, that doesn't make anybody a sadhu or anything like that. The clothes has nothing to do with that. You don't know what is going on inside of them. They could be burning up with vasanas. You don't know that. Not that they are necessary. They could be. We respect everybody. They have good knowledge. They're following good rules. Respect everyone. Don't get attached to all these people. They're doing sadhana. Let them finish their sadhana. Some people are crazily running after anybody wearing these orange clothes and white clothes and green clothes and all this thing. And shaving the head. And I've also shaved my head just because of convenience. That doesn't mean anything. What does that mean, actually? I mean, these malas are there. You put on the puja clothes. All of a sudden, people they want to idealize somebody. ठीक है, आध्यात्मिक बात है इसमें. Because of sadhana and bhakti. That's okay. Always take good from others. Don't idealize anybody. Don't idolize anybody. Nobody. Bhagwan Krishna, शिक्षा पत्री में लिखा है भगवान कृष्ण का जो अवतार है, फॉर्म है और उनके अवतार वो ध्यान करने योग्य है. It's a beautiful guidance. Because that is time tested. Bhagwan Shankar ka form hai, Shivling hai, time tested. Unke mantra hai, time tested. People who believe Swaminarayan Bhagwan wo Bhagwan hai, not everybody believes that. This is saint to sant hai. Unhone kya likha hai? Worship Krishna. Start with that. And if you want to go further to understand why he's considered incarnation or avatar or whatever that might be, wo ek sab alag baat hai. If you accept it, many people don't accept that. Same thing with Ramakrishna Paramans. So many people accept Ramakrishna Paramans as incarnation. There's even Ramakrishna Loka that they talk about, just like Golok. तो उनका भी कुछ लोक है ऐसा. It could be in the spiritual domain. Anything is possible. Who knows, right? So unless you realize this thing, इसका जो अनुभव क्या है, it's very mystical, highly mystical things are there. Golok and Vaikuntham and ये सब भगवान के जो धाम and all these things that are there. And then the manifestation here. Jesus talks about heaven. What is he talking about? Which heaven is he talking about? Is he talking about the Golok or Vaikuntham or, see, these things are, unless you go into Samadhi, how would you know this also? So, hold on one second.
Have his address.
What the heck happened here? Hold on just a second. Oops, sorry. Oh, jeez. Sorry about that. There was something had come. Okay, so this is something that nobody wants to talk about. It's very, very tricky to talk about this, and it's also difficult to understand. You see, so never give your mind to anybody blindly. Never, not under any circumstance. This is Sachin's recommendation. Even the Gita, even the Bhagavad Gita, don't follow it blindly. You cannot follow blindly also. It has to be understood. It has to be digested. It has to be seen. The truth we cannot see through somebody else's eyes. Truth can only be seen when we open our eyes. For example, if two people are standing on a beach, one's eyes are closed, otherwise they're open, the sun is coming up. The person whose eyes are closed has to open his eyes or her eyes to see the sun. The purpose of a guru, the Gita, the teachers, the incarnations, everything is to open our inner eyes. They can help us, they can show us, they can teach us. We have to open our own eyes. Nobody can open it for us. Yeah, maybe great saints like Sajanand Maharaj and others, Bhagwan Swaminarayan just you could put people in samadhi, but even they would come out of that, they would be back trapped inside the sansar. That was Krupa Samadhi. For a short time you can open that thing, but then what? You cannot, that won't remain open because of the Agnan is there, the blockages are there. So we have to decide to open our eyes through Guru Krupa, through the teachers of the greats, and it has to resonate. It's an inner resonance. Antarni akhuti odakhwa mota santane. Otherwise, there's every chance of getting lost in spirituality. Yeah, they're teaching good things. But people who are doing this hero worship, called Guru worship, they forget the teachings, forget the sadhanas, other things, get diverted. They're trapped inside the personality. And you don't know about the person's personal life. It's a prarthna hai. I just wanted to mention this today. We'll talk tomorrow further on this Shama and all these other ideas. I had this prepared today, but this thing was in my mind for some time, and I wanted to mention this because it is a very serious potential problem if we are not clear. Right? Let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarisha Sarvadom Ganganavate Namaha Om Aim Rim Klim Chamandeviche Namo Namaha Om Durga Durga Rakshini Tata Swaha Om Aim Rim Klim Namo Namaha Om Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha Om Hrim Swaha.